Hello everyone, welcome to a rather unplanned video. Totally unplanned. I've been seeing all these lovely Valentine's designs on YouTube and obviously everywhere else, and I thought, I haven't done one, why haven't I done one? So I was doodling away in my sketchbook, and you might have seen we've got a parrot tutorial, pastel tutorial. That's a mouthful. Let's try that again. We have a pastel parrot tutorial coming up very soon. So obviously I've been looking at pictures of parrots and whatnot, and I thought, oh, lovebirds. And I don't know anything about lovebirds, and having had a Google, soon discovered that they were just small parrots. And so yeah, that was kind of what I was doing. I was doodling away, and I thought, let's just see what I can do. So here we are. We are going literally from doodle to painting, hopefully. This is the Lineart. I will, as I always do, link the free PDF Lineart down in the description box, and you are free to use that. I will also attach the reference photo. That will be of my finished painting, because obviously this doesn't exist anywhere else. And you are free to use it as you wish. You don't need to name me, just honestly, I want everyone to just enjoy the art. So you're more than welcome to use the free Lineart to create cards or anything else. Okay, you don't need my permission. So that's that. Anyway, do you like it? I thought it was quite nice. I wanted something floral, and obviously I wanted something romantic, hence the heart. And what better than two little lovebirds? Now, I've got no plans whatsoever, so I am going to be making this up as I go along. But yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to be doing. I hope you enjoy it. It's not really a tutorial as such. It's more of a watch me do it. I mean, I will try and tell you what colours I'm using, but I don't actually know what colours I'm going to use yet. So I kind of know what look I want. I want it to be pretty loose and just pretty, It's for Valentine's after all. Although you don't have to use it for Valentine's, I suppose it could be used for anniversaries or something like that. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get on with it. Now, I need to lighten up this artwork somewhat because it is quite dark. I will just say it didn't go from a doodle in my sketchbook to my watercolour paper. It went from a doodle in my sketchbook to a redoodle, and then adding bits to the doodle. When I was happy, I scanned it into my computer, and I then brought it up on my digital drawing pad, and I went over to make the line art and everything else. That's how it came to be. It didn't just go from my sketchbook to my pad, sadly. And I didn't need to tell you that. I could have pretended I was so clever, but there we go. That's how it happened. I will do a video actually about my process of making the line art and everything one day. But for now, I'm going to get on with this. And the first thing to do is to lighten up this line art. So I've got my kneadable eraser, as per, and I'm rolling it into a sausage. And I'm just going to roll it over my pencil to lighten it up a little bit. Now, I'm not too worried about certain parts being lighter. I do want the birds to be much lighter. And I will try and lift some of the pencil work afterwards if I need to. Hopefully I won't need to. So I really want to lighten those birds up a bit. But they're kind of sat on the birdhouse looking at each other. This is a kind of sun behind them. That's actually going to be left as white space. Okay, the sun. But all these florals, I'm thinking peaches and pinks and romantic colours. So I'm just going to lighten these up. I'm not too worried about the leaves because obviously they're going to be some sort of green. I'm not too worried about things like the seed pods because they're going to be quite dark. So really it's just the birds and the larger flowers that I really want to lighten, and the outside of the heart shape. So if I can just lighten those, I'll be happy. Lighten up the flowers. Try and go around the edge of this heart. Get some of that up. Just need my eraser again because it's kind of dirty. So yeah, let me know in the comments, have you made any homemade Valentine's cards this year? I have to admit I haven't, which is a bit sad really. I'm always quite late. We were quite late for Christmas this year, and the year's going so fast already, isn't it? I can't believe we're in February already. It'll soon be time to start some planting in the garden, and I really wish the weather would warm up. It's freezing, absolutely freezing in Wales tonight. I am chilled to the bone. Okay, so I think that might do. I should line these flowers really. Okay, I'm not going to be too finicky about it. I just wanted this to be a nice, quick, kind of impromptu, unplanned picture. And I am hoping that these videos are going to be improving very, very shortly, because I've got some new software in the pipeline, which my son is going to help me with. Because although I've changed my camera, I've changed my microphone, so that's all working a lot better now. I'm still not happy with the picture, and that is down to the software that I'm recording it on. So hopefully this is all going to improve very, very soon. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoy it just the same. There we go, I think that will do. Okay, so let's mix up some colours. Like I said, I really want... the birds themselves are blue, with kind of like a peachy tone and some white parts that will probably go on after I've finished. I just want to keep the florals quite light and pastel-y, and I don't want anything too dark on here. So I need to try and mix up some colour. Now, I want to fill the actual heart shape, so behind all the florals and everything, I do want to drop some colour. Now, it's quite a busy picture, as you can see, so that might be quite fiddly, but I'm going to have a go. Like I said, I'm not too worried about the berries and the little leaves. It's more the big florals that I'm more concerned about. But as I want a pastel-y kind of very light washes and things anyway, it shouldn't matter too much. It should be fine to go over with another layer. So we'll see how we get on. Now, for the background, which is going to be the first kind of colour, I'm going to start by mixing some... Let's try some Prussian blue. And these are all going to be really watery kind of mixes that I'm going to be doing. I do apologise if you can hear the snoring puggle again. It's one of the joys of being in the house, is having the snoring puggle. So we'll leave that blue there. I want to... let's try some purple lake. See how we get on with that. Maybe some opera rose would be better because it's a bit brighter. Let's try some opera rose. Yeah, like that. That's quite nice. So I've got blue and purple. I want kind of a pink, like a pale pink. So I'm thinking maybe this quinacridone red, but a very watery mix of quinacridone red. So it'd be more pink. And possibly a palish green. I'll maybe go with the sap green. And these are all going to be really light washes. Oh my goodness me, Betty. She's really going for the snore. The loudness of the snore, should I say. She's going for the world record, I do believe. So, what I'm thinking of doing is adding a wash to this heart shape, like I said. So I'm going to go over with some water, trying to avoid this large flower, avoiding this light, what's going to be the sunshine, just going to be a white circle, and avoiding the bird. Other than that, not too worried. Maybe avoid that large branch there if I can, or not too much anyway. And the same down here, I can come over all of this, I think, with water and just avoid the flower like that. So we won't know till we try. This is all trial and error. Like I said, nothing was planned out. I do normally have a bit of a practice before I record, if I can, because this was unplanned. Obviously, I haven't done that. So any mistakes that are going to happen, you are going to see in real time, which is quite fun, isn't it? I think it just goes to prove that we all have moments and make mistakes, and nobody's perfect. And most of these artists on YouTube, and I'm speaking for myself and for others here because I've heard at least 3 others say the same things, we'll practice beforehand. We don't just come on and out comes a brilliant piece of art, because that rarely happens. So there we go. Now you know. So I think I'm going to go to about there, and I'm going to start dropping in some of this colour. So what I'm going to do, I want the greeny kind of colour, I think, to begin here. So I'm literally going to just drop it in. I'm not going to try and get it in any sort of particular place. Maybe a little bit down here. quite nice there as well with that. Try and get a mix without making it muddy looking is the goal. Might be quite nice. Be the sunshine, it's just going to be a white circle. And then with a wet brush, I'm just going to encourage that to kind of do its thing. There we go, quite happy with that. Just want it to be a nice kind of transition from one colour into the next, like that. And then as we come up this side, I want to go more into the kind of purpley pinks. Just trying to avoid that big branch there, so I'll go there and up. Avoid this large flower here. And avoiding the bird and the flower. All that is now nice and wet or damp. Just want it nice and glistening. We don't want anything to, no puddles or anything. So let's try some of this. Oh, that's nice. It's quite dark though, so don't want too much of that one. I'm going to move that about a bit because that's quite dark. I know it's going to dry lighter, but I did want these to remain quite pastel-y. So let's try and shift that about. And there we go. Okay, so I'll come back to this side of the branch. Down there, take some more of this pinky colour. Put that in there. Rinse out my brush. A little bit pink there, so it looks like it's kind of going from one to the other there. Now I have just gotten some of that colour on my bird, so before it gets too settled, I'm just going to dry that off, and some kitchen paper, just lifting that off of my bird, and the same down here. I wasn't as careful as I thought I was, obviously, and just lift that off of the bird. Now I'm going to go up here and I can go over all of this down to the flower, and then avoiding that white area that I want to keep nice and light in the middle there. I think this is where I'm going to drop some of this lovely blue colour. Like that. And I'm going to come back in with the purple and just add a tiny bit to this side. Take some of that excess, a bit too much water on there. Just lift some of that up, move it about a little bit. There we go. And I think that that's given us a nice kind of transition between the colours. I may actually lift a little bit of that. pink. Because I don't want too dark. That's better. Now obviously we're going to have to let this all completely dry once we're done. But that's one half done. I'm quite happy with that. And now I'm just going to repeat using the same kind of colours in the same kind of places. Right back up the other side. So I'll start down here. And there's not much. Okay, so we'll do this bit here. With the pink, and then coming up here into the green to about there. And also this side. We'll drop a little bit of the green and maybe a touch of the pink. So let's start with the green actually, because this is going to dry quicker here. So just drop the green in, kind of like that. Touch down there. And then the pink. Touch there. And a touch there. Now I'm going to rinse off. I'm going to encourage those two to kind of merge together. There we go, like that. Okay. Now I'm going to come up this side. And this is going to be kind of the purpley area. In here. And then the pink in this kind of area. Okay, let's see how we go. So, let's drop some purple up this side. Kind of there. Maybe just inside there. Take the excess water out, and then I'm going to kind of encourage it to go where I want it to go now. Obviously it's quite fiddly because this background has got to go between all this busy flora and fauna, as it were. But I think it'll look lovely when it's done. There's always an ugly stage, don't forget. Never ever forget that. Always an ugly stage to every piece of art. Never give up on a painting or a drawing because you believe it's ugly. Always continue till the end. I promise it will get better and it will move from that ugly stage. You get to the point where you go, yes, it's working. I've lost count of the amount of paintings I tried when I was first learning that ended up in the bin because I got frustrated. But obviously, with time comes wisdom and plenty of practice. And then you realise, oh, okay, everything's got a bit of an ugly stage. And I wish I could have gone back and got the pictures, you know. But it's the only way to learn is by making these mistakes, isn't it? So some blue there. And I might put a little bit pink up here. There we go. I'm just going to check that I've got all the kind of fiddly bits in. I think. Ah, no, look, there's a bit there. That was a good spot. Nearly missed a bit. I just happened to have a mix of pink and blue, which of course makes purple. So that was handy. And I just want to make sure that I've got a nice crisp kind of edge on the heart itself. And I think that's that layer of wash done. And I'm really happy with that. Maybe I can zoom in as I edit, but it looks lovely. It's like a nice pastel kind of wash. I'm happy with that. So the next stage, of course, this needs to be completely dry before we can do anything else. Now, I didn't talk at all about the brushes that I was using. For the wash and the large areas, I'm using a number 9 pointed round. I have got a number 5 round, and I have got a number 2 round, just to get into the smaller leaves, and some of the little berries and things can be quite fiddly. I've also got a liner brush that will help with some of these longer lines and things if I end up using it. Quite often I think I'm going to use it and I just do it with the number 2 and forget that I've actually got it. And my trusty spotter that I've always got for the tiny little details like the eyes, which have got a tiny little highlight, the fiddly little areas. So trusty spotter. If there's one brush I would tell you to get, it's definitely a trusty spotter. This is a graduate Daler Rowney one, and it is so tiny, but it's great for the little detail. And like I said, I may come over with some white afterwards, but I'm just thinking, because I'm going to have this big white shape here, that I might need to add some accents or some splatters of white maybe. We'll see how we go. For now I'm going to pause. I'm not going to have tea or coffee or biscuit because I've got a super sensitive tooth tonight. It's making me talk a bit funny actually. Every time I go near hot or cold, it's like having an electric shock. So I've obviously got an exposed nerve or something in one of my lower teeth. But anyway, I will see you all back here in a moment when this is 100% dry. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Okay, we're back and we're nice and dry. All going very well so far. So I think I want the flowers to be kind of a peachy colour. So I've mixed up, this mixture here is quinacridone red, a little bit of burnt sienna, and some Windsor lemon. And I want it to be quite pale still. I don't want it to be too harsh against these pastel colours. I'm thinking maybe a bit more. Let's put a bit more red in. Yeah, I think that might be better. Okay, so I'm going to start down here. I'm just going to fill in every other petal with a very watery mix of that peachy colour. And while that's still wet, I'm going to drop in a tiny little bit of burnt sienna, like that. I'm going to come back and do the other petals in a moment. So I'm going to repeat that with the others. So this is wet onto dry. It is very wet. This one hasn't got as many petals, so I'm just going to do the 2 on this one for now. I'm going to take that burnt sienna, just drop some right at the base of the petal there. And this one. Like so. We should be fine to come back down to this one now. So get some more of that. And what I'm doing is I'm getting the colour on my brush, but that would be, if I put that straight on, that would be far too dark. So I'm then just dipping it in my water and just taking it off on the side of the water jar there. So I'll just put these other petals in. A hair. It's the joys of having animals, isn't it? There's always hairs in this house. And the dog is off again. I do apologise. I'm going to be back in the art studio soon, so we won't have the chorus of puggle snores in the background. This one. And we can add some details on after, once they're all nice and dry. Again, just dropping some of that burnt sienna in there. Need to mix up a little bit more of the burnt sienna actually. There we go. So take some more of that peach mix, dip it in my water, take off the excess, and now we're going to do this one. Oh, cat's come to join in. And this one. A little bit of burnt sienna. Drop that in there. Some more. Dip. And then off on the side. And we'll do this one. Hello, cat. And this one. Burnt sienna. Oops, not quite enough burnt sienna. And just drop that on the very bottom of that centre. And I'm going to come back to the other one. This last petal. And then the final one. I'm using my small number 2 brush to do this. There we go. So I'm quite happy with them at the moment. I'm not finished with those. I'm going to now take some olive green. So that's quite a watery mix of olive green. And then I'm going to take some darker, neater olive green. And now using the watery one, I'm going to start putting some of these leaves in. So just very carefully using that watery mix. Like that. And I'm going to pick up some of that darker mix and I'm going to drop that all the way up one side. Make it slightly darker down the base as well, like that. Okay. So we can do this one here as well. Like that. And then just pick up some of that darker mix in at the base, up one side, like so. I'm just going to carry on doing that now with the larger leaves that I can see. So these ones here. Do a couple at a time. And then pick up some of that darker mix. Drop it right at the base and then up one side. Like that. Just going to mix some more of the darker mix up. Can do this one. And this one. There we go. It's just had a bit of interest. Okay, where else have we got larger leaves? We've got a couple there and one there. And we've got a couple there and maybe there. So I'll do this side first so I don't have to come back across myself. That one there. And that one. Some of that darker mix. Whoops. Like so. And I think we'll do this little one here. And this little one here. They're just small little leaves there. And we'll do this one here. And this one here. And if you feel it's not moved enough, like this one, just take a damp brush and just encourage it to shift about a little bit. Like that. I can see one there that hasn't blended very well, so I'm just going to take a damp brush and encourage it to blend up there. So there's not a harsh edge on it there. There we go. And now for the smaller leaves, for the tiny, tiny leaves, I'm going to use my smaller brush, which is in number 2. So what was I using there? That was a 5. Okay, this is a 2. I'm going to come back into this lovely Prussian blue colour. And I'm going to use that just to put in the little tiny small leaves. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's a bit odd, blue leaves. But it doesn't have to be nature realistic. It's meant to be fun. And I want to try and add some blue in, because if you remember, the little birds are actually going to be blue. And I want to try and tie the colours in. So just by adding a little bit of blue, that will help to tie the birds into the florals. And we will add some more details after. That's the bit I enjoy, is all the little fiddly details. So there's quite a few of these smaller leaves. That one there. I can see I've missed a leaf. I'll come back to that in a minute. And we'll do these ones blue, because why not? If you're going to make flowers, you might as well make them whimsical, I say. Missed another one there, look. See? I knew I would. Is there any more tiny, tiny leaves? There's 2 here. And that's a stem. That's a stem. So it's the little single leaves I'm looking for. I think I've got them all. Probably not. I'm going to come back to this olive green because I've completely missed this leaf here. I think my puggle's dreaming. Possibly about a bit of steak, given the noises she's making. And I missed one up here as well, didn't I? Just there. So we'll pop that in as well. And there we go. Like so. Now I think I'm going to mix up some more burnt sienna. And this time I'm going to add some of that green in to kind of tone it down a little bit, because I don't want it to... There we go. It's a nice colour. Okay. And I'm going to now put in some of these little leaves that are on branches. So that will tie that in a touch with the sienna, but also the birdhouse, because that needs to be done as well, obviously. I'm going to be using a similar kind of colour. So don't worry about the stems for now. Because we'll come back in with a darker colour for those. So that's that one. This one here. Definitely at the ugly stage at the moment. So just using a small brush to get these little leaves in. Oh my goodness, Boo. I know that's loud because my microphone is, the little equaliser's going up with every snore. Oh dear. Typical, isn't it? If I wasn't painting and recording, I wouldn't hear a beep out of her. So that's those ones. Let me see. I want to kind of balance it out. So I think I'm going to do these ones here. Just painting on each of those tiny little leaves there. Like that. And then coming over to this side. Is that dry? Yeah, that's dry. We'll do this one. There we go. And one over this side really, don't we? Okay, let's do this multi. So these are smaller over this side, but there are more to the bunch, if that makes sense. Not sure it did, but I know what I mean. It's like 3 little bunches together. Ever so easy to do, and they make nice little kind of fillers, if you know what I mean. Right, so what have we left with? We have some berry type things. So I think for those, I'm going to stick with this brush that I've got, and I'm going to come back into this lovely purpley blue. And again, that will tie us the background. You know, we're using all the same colours, so everything will kind of tie together. And careful not to drip that drop of water. And just come in and do these little kind of berries. Now you can either fill them in solid, like that, or you can leave a little space. I think I quite like them solid actually. So we'll do that. Again, we're doing just the berries, not the branch. So just these little bunches of berries here. There's one bunch done. And I've got some more down here and here. So we'll do these ones. And these are so small, they might actually be easier to do with the spotter. But I'm going to persevere because I've loaded my brush up now. So that's one little bunch there. And I will do this bigger bunch because there's another bunch there. I'm going to do the bigger bunch. Like that. And being careful to keep my arms out of things. Do this little bunch here. Now I can't actually see the pencil very well there, so I'm not particularly sticking to my drawing here. They're just berries, it doesn't matter. You put them where you think. I mean, you could even have more if you want. The more the merrier, I say. Don't worry about sticking to the drawing completely. You know, feel free to add things, and also take things away. You know, if there's a bit that you don't like, or you want to put something else instead of a little bunch of berries, maybe you want another leaf or a different sort of flower, you can also do that. And that's the good thing about art, isn't it? You can do what you like. Right, okay, so, okay, what have we got left? We've got these little kind of frondy, they remind me of something, a bit like dandelions. They remind me a bit of dandelions. Now, I think for this, I want to go pink, because we haven't really tied the pink in anywhere, so I'm going to take some more of my, is it quinacridone, isn't it? Quinacridone red. I'll try and fit it in here somewhere. And I think let's see how we get on with this brush. I may have to change brushes in a moment. I'll start over here with this one. And all these are a series of long and short kind of lines. And they've just got little seed heads on the ends, like that. That's all they are. So that was more red than pink, but I'm going to carry on because I've done one now. So no, not the stem, just the little, okay, what can we call those? Nope. My head's not working. Just the little seed pod bits. Like that. And we've got one here. What I tend to do is put the short ones in and then fit a couple of longer ones randomly between. And I'm just kind of dabbing to put the little seed head on. Like that. And we've got one down here. I think that's all those done. Then finally we've got these kind of little, like just little ferny type branches. So I think I'm just going to do those with the green, maybe a slightly lighter, more watery green. And they're so small, I'm just going to use the tip of my brush to put those tiny little leaves on there like that. This one is a little bit bigger. Oh, I missed a seed head there. Come back and do that now. Well, I've still got some of this red on here. Okay, so now we've got some branches left to put in. Obviously we've got the stems of the flowers and things. Now I can see we've got a couple more leaves, random leaves here, and we've got some little berries there, and there's some more little leaves up there. So let's have a look and see how we can kind of balance that out. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lighter wash of this purple, maybe put a bit of that red in there, so it's a slightly brighter purple. And I will do these little berries here. Maybe it's a flower, not berries. With the purple, I will do these odd leaves that we've got here. And then finally, we have these little leaves here. Like that. Fab. Okay. So now what we need is a darker colour. So I'm going to come into this burnt umber. So that was burnt sienna. So this is burnt umber. And as you can see, it's a lot darker. I might actually add a little bit of that green. Seeing as we're over this side, I'll add a little bit of that green in there. Yeah, that's a nice twiggy kind of colour. So keeping this tiny, tiny brush, I'm going to come in and put these slightly thicker stems in. And then we can add that stem in there, which is part of this one. And then we've got one that kind of comes up there, so we'll put that one in as well. Actually, it kind of flicks off there as well, so come up there, and then it kind of just flicks off a tiny bit there. And then up here, kind of tapering off. And then just go up there and join our little berries onto their little stems. And while we're there, we've got this colour. We will come up here, put this stem in, and this one, and this one. We will connect our little leaves if we need to. And we'll put that little stem there, coming down to here. We'll add that one there. I told you I wouldn't pick up the other one, didn't I? Just use whatever you're most comfortable with. And I'm going to go on the centre there to the top. And there. And then we've got a little bunch of berries, so just add some little connecting kind of branches in there. That one there. Like so. And then we've got this little bunch of berries. Just connect those to there. And we've got that one there. Okay, so that's that side done. And now we need to repeat the process on the other side. I'm going to start down here. You need to make sure you've got quite a watery mix for this, because you want to get nice fine lines. There we go. And then just make that a little bit fatter there. I wasn't quite enjoying how that was looking there. There we go. I'm going to come over here, that one in there, and join these little groups of berries. go. And then we've got this branch here, which is bigger. So that'll even it up with the opposite side. It kind of branches out there. Almost done. A couple of little bunches of berries here, and just try and kind of join them. And then we've got one here, one there, one there. Now, have we missed any? Have a quick look. Don't think we have. Although, this one here just needs some little connecting to the leaves. There, that's better. Okay, quite happy with that. Oh, I love the way this is looking. And now I'm just going to take some olive green, and I'm just going to mix up a little tiny touch of that. And then you don't have to do this bit. You can leave them absolutely as they are if you wish. I just want to come up about halfway on each of my leaves. To add a little bit of interest on there. And these ones. Oops, now that was too thicksy. I think we'll get away with it. Hopefully. I'm not going to get away with it because it's going to annoy me. So I'm going to dampen it down and pretend like it never happened. So we'll have to wait for that to dry again, and then I can come back in and try that one again. Right, let's not do that again. Where did I get to? Over here. So I think that is all of them, apart from the one I messed up. There we go, that's better. Okay. Put a little stem there. Okay, I'm happy with those. You could, of course, if you wanted to, add some detail to the smaller leaves. Entirely up to you how far you want to, how much detail you want to put on there. Maybe we'll put some little lines on these ones. Maybe just some of the bigger ones, put little lines. But you absolutely don't need to do that. Right. Okay, so taking some more of that burnt umber. Just going to mix it straight onto there because I've got a dirty palette anyway. And I'm going to dot this into the centre of my flowers, leaving a tiny bit of white space peeping through. like that. And we'll do this one. And this one. Just kind of stippling it in. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that brush. And I am going to take my teeny tiny spotter. I'm going to come back into that dark. And I am just going to add a little to one side of these thicker stems. A tiny more, a little bit more colour. Like that. Just down one side. I'm only going to do that to these thicker branches. There. There we go. That's a bit better. Right. I think now I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm going to roll it into this original colour that we had. And then very, very gently, I'm just going to add on a few tiny little veins to my petals. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just think it'd be nice to kind of add a little bit of interest. There we go. I think I'm happy with that. And all that's left to do now, I'm really, really happy with how that's gone so far. My dog is driving me nuts with her snoring. All that's left to do now is the birds in the birdhouse. And we're done. And it seems like it's taken ages, but I don't think it has. So I'm just going to let everything dry before I tackle the birds. So I will see you back here in a moment. Okay, all lovely and dry, and back for the final push. So we've got the birds and the birdhouse left. Shouldn't take much time at all. The birdhouse itself, I want it to be like a wooden house. So I've cleaned off my palette, so we've got a bit more room for this. I want to mix up some, let me get this right, raw umber. And I want this again to be quite a thin wash of raw umber. That should be plenty. Fab. And I want a tiny bit of burnt umber. Should I put that in this corner here? And now all I'm going to do for this is give it a wash over with this really wet raw umber, and then I'm going to drop in some places with the darker burnt umber, and that should give it a little bit of wooden look. Once it's all dry, we can come back in with the details. And this is going to be a really light wash. I'm going to do it all over the whole entire birdhouse. So all the way down, do one side at a time. And then I'm just going to take some of that darker colour on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to touch it in down the side there, and just along the centre part there of the roof. And hopefully that will do its thing and kind of bleed in. And we do the same thing on the other side. So, nice wash. Bit fiddly with that little leaf there, but never mind. And we'll go down here, darker colour, and then down the centre there, like that. I'm also going to take a little bit of that dark umber and put it onto the roof. Kind of the edge of the roof there. And I'm just going to encourage that damp brush to bleed. Also going to run some down that centre. Just there. There we go. We need to leave that to dry before we can add any more detail to it. This centre part is going to be almost black. Now, we need to think about these birds. So I do know that I want Prussian blue again. So I'm going to get some of that. I'm also going to get some Payne's Grey, which is a lovely dark. It's like a bluey grey. And I also want a little bit of cerulean blue. Very, very wet cerulean blue. A touch of burnt sienna. And into that, I'm going to mix a tiny bit of Windsor orange to brighten that up a little bit. Lovely. And a tiny bit of cadmium red. Mine is actually a cadmium-free red. So a tiny bit of that as well. And that is our bird colours done. I'm going to load my brush up with water. And I'm going to start by painting the bird's wing. And I'm going to dampen that down, being really careful to stay inside that wing. Now, we don't want a big puddle of water, so I'm going to mop some of that up because I've got a bit much there. Okay. And onto there, I'm going to drop some cerulean blue to the top of his wing. Like that. And I'm going to take some of that Payne's grey and I'm going to put that all the way down the bottom edge of his wing, like so. And I'm going to kind of let those meet at the side there. Just going to make the bottom of the wings a tiny bit darker. Like so. I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. So, rinse my brush out, make sure I've got no colour in there. Take some water and dampen down the wing. Being careful to stay inside that shape. And then just mopping up if I've got a little bit too much, which I do. That's better. And some cerulean blue to the top edge of the wing. And then some Payne's grey to the bottom of the wing. And I'm going to bring it up to meet the other blue. Kind of up those lines of the wing there. We can put some more detail on when it's dry. Just darken down the bottom of that wing. Give it a touch more, just to darken that wing down a bit. Again, rinse off your brush, take off the excess water and just encourage it to go if it's not shifting enough. Just give it a little helping hand, soften that down. Like so. Now we can't do any more on the wing yet because we need that to be really, really dry. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up some ivory black. And pop that there. Then very carefully I'm going to fill in. I'm going to pick up a smaller brush because this one is too big. I'm just going to fill in that circle there. And take your time because obviously it is black. And that obviously is the hole where the birds go into the little nesting box. Okay, and rinse that brush off. I'm going to take a tiny bit of this red, and I'm just going to take a really watery and really, really light watery, so it's almost a pink. I'm going to take off the excess water onto my cloth that I've got there, and I'm just going to fill in the little beaks on these little lovebirds. With that pinky colour, and then I'm going to take a tiny bit of the black and a tiny bit of the sienna, and I'm just going to drop that on the end of the beak and along the edge of the bottom of the beak, and encourage that to blend upwards. And there we go. Okay, now this should now be damp and not wet. So while it's damp, I'm going to take some of that Payne's Grey on my smaller brush, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to add the wing detail very, very carefully, following the lines. Same thing over here. As in a tiny little bit of darkness on the bottom of that wingtip. And same thing here, a little bit darker on the wingtips. I'm going to rinse my brush, take out the excess water, and with a damp brush, I'm just going to blend away any harsh edge. It's always easier to do this when it's damp. There we go. So I'm happy with those so far. Now the head of the bird is going to be blue, and it's going to come down from blue into this lovely kind of red, going into slightly yellow and then back into blue for the tail. I hope that makes sense. So it's going to come from blue on the head down into a reddy colour, and then down into a yellowy, more yellowy colour, and then back down into blue. Okay, I'm going to do that wet and wet. So we need to wait until these are now as dry as they can be before we can do that final touch. Then we're going to be done. Aside from putting a little bit of detail on the wood, which we could do now actually. I think that is probably dry enough to do. Okay, I'm going to take my liner brush. I'm just going to come back into this burnt umber. So my son came down and started having a full-blown conversation with me, which has given this time to dry. So that was quite handy. I've forgotten where I was now though. So I think I was taking some of this burnt umber and taking some of this ivory black into it, just to darken it a little bit. And I'm going to add some water so it's nice and runny. I'm taking my liner brush. I'm going to dry my liner brush off, and I'm coming back into the colour and I'm rolling my liner brush into my paint, and I'm just going to put some simple lines down this birdhouse. And by rolling it on its side, you're going to load it with paint and give it a nice point. So some really fine lines. Not worried if they're not level or even, because, you know, it's a wooden birdhouse, so it's probably a little bit warped. And it's going to come down from blue into this lovely kind of red, going into slightly yellow and then back into blue for the tail. I hope that makes sense. So it's going to come from blue on the head, down into a reddy colour, and then down into a yellowy, more yellow. And I'm going to roll it one more time, and I'm going to come up the middle where we put the brown mix on there. I'm just going to follow that line up there and back down the other side. And just on the bottom edge, like that. Now obviously you could add some little knots in the wood if you wanted to. You could add some little kind of cracks or gaps in the wood. And I think just to define this edge, I'm going to run this dark colour just up the edge of there as well. Just finish it off nicely on this side. So yeah, you can add as much kind of detail to this as you want, really. Add a few more fine lines so it kind of shows the grain. And if you do that, you want to go around the knot in the wood like that. Just to give it a bit of a grain to the wood. Just really, really fine lines. Barely touching the paper there. Like that. And you can do the same thing on the house roof, should I say. Do the same thing on the rooftop. Just to add a little bit of detail, really. Just kind of finishes it off. So I'm not even sure if you can see that on the camera. It's barely there. There we go. So, back to our birdies. I will lift this up at the end and show you that. That looks quite good, actually. Back to our birdies. Now, I'm going to get another brush, actually. I've got a number 7 here, because I want to be quite in control of this water. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about the eye. You can always put that in with a fine liner, or, wait till it's completely dry and paint the eye back in. Like I said, I might add some white to this in places. In fact, I probably will add some white to it in places. We'll see. But now I need to get this this wet, and we're going to be putting blue, red, yellow back into blue. All really light washes, wet and wet. So, because I've been talking to my son for so long, my paint has dried, so I'm just going to reactivate my paints. I'm trying to remember what colour blue. I think that was Prussian blue, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that was Prussian blue. But that was Prussian blue, that was cerulean, that was Payne's grey. I'm not sure we're going to need the Payne's grey, actually. And then this was the yellow that we're going to need. And then, of course, the red. Oh, really watery. There we go. Make sure that's rinsed out well. And then using the same brush, I am going to add water. All over the entire remaining body of the bird. Right down to his tail. Now again, we want this quite wet, but we don't want it dripping. No puddles, just a nice sheen on the paper. I'm going to come back up this way. Make sure his head is still damp. And then the first colour I'm going to drop on is cerulean blue to the top of his head. So I'm going to do that right now. So take some of the cerulean blue and I'm going to drop that to the top of his head. Like so. I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to encourage that to come down this way. And then from that, we are going to go into this yellow breast. And then finally into this red. And then finally into this blue. And as you can see, it's all really light. So we've got a nice transition between the blue, the yellow, the red. And then I'm going to take some of the Prussian blue and I'm just going to add the Prussian blue to his tail. bring it up towards the red. Like that. There. Oh, it's fab, I love him. I'm rinsing out my brush and I'm coming over to the other bird, and same thing, I'm going to wet her down. I'm assuming this is the girl because she's slightly smaller. Now I'm trying to paint around the eye, but like I said, do not worry if you don't feel confident enough to go around the eye. Bring that water all the way down. To the lovely tail. And then I'm going to come back up, making sure that's all still lovely and damp. And then cerulean blue going on the top. Rinse off, dry off. Take the damp brush and just encourage the blue to come down a touch. And then the yellow. On her breast there. And then the red. Down there. Back in to the, why do I keep forgetting? Prussian blue. Down into the Prussian blue from the red. Just trying to make sure there's a nice transition between the colours. Adding a little bit more blue. Like so. And then we can go back to the first bird. And take a tiny bit of this Payne's Grey. And because this is damp, I'm going to put some of the detail of the tail feathers back in. Like that. Those lovely tail feathers. And take some cerulean blue onto the tips. Rinse off. Take off the excess water and blend that blue up. There we go. Just need this one to dry a tiny bit more. It's a tiny bit too wet still. Just need that to dry a tiny bit more. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I think I will take my little spotter and I will take some lamp black, because that's the darkest black I've got. And I will just fill in his little eye and leave him a tiny little highlight like that. I think I'm quite safe to do this one. There we go. I think we might be all right now. That's better. Just wanted to add a little bit more blue to the tail there. It's not quite blue enough. So I've just added a tiny bit more and I'm just blending it out with a damp brush. There we go. Just trying to define those little wings a little bit more. There. And there. And now you can decide really if you want to add any kind of white or anything. And initially I thought I wanted to. But now I'm thinking, I'm not sure I quite like it like that. I'll tell you what you can do though. This is where I get in trouble because I will now just start fiddling. Take some black and it depends how far you want to go into the detail. I really don't want to make this video any longer, but if you wanted to, you could just go in and add some little details to the berries. Like that. Sometimes it's the small details that just kind of bring it to life, you know? I think so anyway. But then I'm biased because I love details. So yeah, just adding a tiny little just kind of brings the berries to life. And it's the smallest detail, but it works. I'm only doing it on the blue ones. There we go. And I think I'm really happy with that, considering this morning it was a doodle in my sketchbook. And of course, the final thing to do, if you want to, apart from sign it, of course, is to remove any extra pencil lines that you don't want. Obviously, don't do it while it's wet. Wait for it to dry. I just wanted to remove this outer edge line. And also any that look a bit harsh. So around this light area, I can still see some of my graphite there. So I'm just taking that out. I mean, a lot of the time, once you've painted it, that's it. You can't remove graphite once the paint's gone over. That's why it's always a good idea to lighten it beforehand. There we go. Valentine's Lovebirds. Very impromptu, but I hope you agree. Very pretty and could be used for many things, not just Valentine's Day, of course. Look beautiful in a frame. Would look beautiful on a card. I can think of many things that it would look beautiful on, actually. So I'm just going to lift up so you can see the wooden texture of the birdhouse. Hopefully you can see the wooden texture of the birdhouse. Now, I do have some titanium white watercolour paint. I also have white gouache. You could use that too. I just think, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. I'm just wanting to add a little bit of detail to the little wings. Maybe a little bit to the tail. Yeah, I think that was worth it. There we go. Terrible fiddler. I've just added a little tiny bit of detail onto their little wings. Just gives a little bit more interest is all. And that's it. Done. I hope you enjoyed that. Spent a bit longer doing it than I originally planned. I didn't think it was going to take that long, but absolutely worth every minute. I really, really love it. And I hope you enjoyed watching. And next time I will be back, it will be a pastel Amazon parrot. So I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching all. Bye.